The 4.3 second half banners have been revealed, and they're looking actually pretty darn awesome. We're going to cover the 5 stars, the 4 stars, and the weapon banner. If you've been keeping your eye on any of these characters or weapons, now might be your chance. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Starting with the 5 stars, we have Ryden, and of course, Yoimiya. These are my 2 favorite characters in the entire game, or Ryden is definitely my favorite character, and Yoimiya is definitely in the top 5. I use Ryden in every single abyss. I only have C0 Ryden. I only recently, on her last banner, got her weapon, and I use Yoimiya every single day. She is my main in the overworld, so obviously, I am hyped for these characters. I love these characters. If you love either of these characters, you should go for them, but I'm gonna try and remain as unbiased as possible to give you the pros and cons, and I know their cons and their pros very, very well because of how much I've played them. So we'll start with Yoimiya, then we'll get into the 4 stars and weapons. You should go for Yoimiya truly if you like her. She's not a meta character, she's not an abyss character, but she's an amazing overworld character. If you're a new player and you see her and you like her, like, I think she's gonna make the game really fun for you. Her auto targeting and the way she can just mow down mobs is incredible. I think a lot of people underestimate how good the fact that she is ranged is, and the fact that she auto targets is super nice if you're playing on mobile. She has some gameplay issues, namely that she has to finish her entire 5-hit combo to do max damage. Her 3rd and her 5th hit do the most damage, and if she gets knocked out of it, you lose a bunch of damage, and she doesn't of course have any interruption resistance. So you either have to run a shielder, which lowers the DPS potential of your team, or you have to dodge, which lowers the DPS potential of the combo. A lot of people opt to just use a shielder. Once you've played her enough, you can often find ways to not use a shielder and use her in more hyper offensive teams, and I'll talk about it in a full Yoimiya guide that I'll be releasing really soon, probably a couple days. So just know that she has good options for both comfort and for DPS ceiling. She has options that are very free to play friendly. Like if you just look at this banner, we've got Bennett on this banner. If you get a Sing Cho and a Kazuha, or a Toma, or even Layla, or a Zhongli, of course, or you can run double Hydro. She has a lot of 4-star and 5-star options. She's one of the more flexible DPSs in the game, and she gets a brand new team with Chevreuse. There is some question on how good Chevreuse's teams are going to be. We'll talk about it in a second, but overall, Yoimiya, she's very flexible. She's very easy to use. She has some gameplay issues. Her DPS ceiling is a bit lower than that of Hu Tao, but I think it's overblown how much lower it is. Where you really notice the DPS ceiling being lower is when you compare her to Hu Tao with her weapon, because the weapon is really big for Hu Tao, a lot more than Yoimiya gets for her weapon. Or with Hu Tao's C1, it's a lot more than Yoimiya gets from her C1. So it's really more the dolphin investment that the gap starts to widen. But for both Hu Tao and Yoimiya, the supports do a significant amount of the damage too, so the disparity isn't as great, and what you trade a pretty annoying playstyle for some people. I like Hu Tao, and I like playing Hu Tao, but a lot of people find it annoying. So you trade that annoyance for a more comfy auto attack playstyle. My biggest recommendation is just to play her a lot in the trial, watch a lot of game planner, watch my guide, watch other guide, and you can't go wrong with this banner. This is probably going to be your best chance to get her if you want her. Now let's talk about Ryden. Oh, but I guess I'll say she doesn't have any 5-star characters that you absolutely need. Like, obviously, you know, Yolande Bennett Kazuha is probably her team. You know, double Hydro, Zhongli, probably her best comfy team, but she can also use Yoon Jin really, really well, right up there with best. She can use Bennett really well, Chevreuse. She has lots of team options, so no matter what your account looks like, you can have a great Yoimiya team. And moving on for Ryden, I just finished my Ryden guide. I was just about to post it when these banners suddenly dropped, so Ryden guide will be coming out tomorrow or the next day, so definitely subscribe if you want to see that. Subscribing also really helps out the channel. But Ryden is a character that if you have a love for Ryden, it'd be hard for me to imagine you not loving Ryden when you get her. I think she is one of the more valuable DPS in the game. I think Neuvillette clears as the most value DPS that you could get, but I think Ryden is right up there for number 2. I know there's other DPSs with higher damage potential, such as Hu Tao, Hytham, but Ryden's comfort and ease of use, the unlimited interruption resistance, the fact that she provides energy, the fact that she now has so many teams. She just got her best team is Farina, Flex, and Jean. Yolande being the best slot, but so many other options. Yamiko, Fischl, Sing Cho, Bennett, Kujo Sara. She's going to get even more options with Chevreuse. She's also not tied to the hip of any characters. You can also get her for your Hyper Bloom teams if you've been unable to get a Kuki, you don't like Kuki, you want to enact the pros of Ryden, and you don't mind missing the healing from from Kuki. She's an amazing Hyper Bloom character. She's solid in Aggravate. She has her hyper teams. She can do Ryden Fischl, Ryden Yaimiko. She can do Ryden Sunfire, Ryden Yelan. Subscribe, like watch my Ryden guide will cover all of it. But she truly is one of the most flexible DPSs that you can have. You will be able to make a good team for her. Obviously, the Farina Jean just took her to another level in terms of being a DPS, but that team is even better than her hyper team with Kujasara. So that's even if you have C2. And if you are going for C2, getting Chevreuse constellations on the way is pretty good for you. Like if you don't already have Kujasara, obviously that's good, but also getting Chevreuse constellations, that'll open up a brand new playstyle for you as well, which is really, really cool. I don't think that you need to pull Ryden for meta. However, I think that she's one of the great DPS choices you can make. There's so many great supports that as long as you have the great support, you want to make your favorite DPS work and work amazingly. But I do think that Ryden is one of the better, both in power and in flexibility, characters you can get. But again, I am biased, but I think that for most people, they will value the interruption resistance. It's just like, imagine having Zhongli's shield all the time. It's just so good. So I love Ryden. And as far as these 4 stars, right, I've touched on it a lot. You can't help but Bennett, one of the best characters in the game. C5 Bennett is his best constellation. You only need C1, but getting more Bennett constellations, amazing. Getting more Kujasara constellations. She's kind of power crept out of Ryden's teams now. The best teams for Ryden, even Hyper Ryden, prefer Farina, but Kujasara is still really good, and for screenshot damage, very, very satisfying. So I'm definitely going to still build her. I have her C3, so I'll definitely be going for Chevreuse constellations, Kujasara constellations. I really, really want to get C2 Ryden, but I'm also really, really satisfied with her performance at C0 with Farina, Yelan, Jean. So I may, even if I get Ryden constellations, I may not activate them at least for a really long while, because honestly, she just shreds so hard with that team. Before, I used to feel like Hyper Bloom just felt so much better, but now she finally has a team where it comes close. Like, it's hard to beat Novelette, it's hard to beat Novelette Hyper Bloom and Alhaitham Hyper Bloom, but the team is close enough and it's way more comfortable. So I don't feel the need to go for C2 Ryden, but you know, it's Ryden, and we're simping hard, boy. So refocusing. The 4-star Bennett, amazing constellation. Kujasara, if you're going for Ryden, great constellations. And if you're going for either of these characters, Chevreuse, we don't know if this is going to be a ceiling team. I doubt it. It's probably going to be another really solid option for either of these characters, but opening up a brand new playstyle, an overloaded playstyle. Yeah, it's only going to be good for single target bossing due to the nature of overloaded, but if we can have another alternative playstyle where you can use, you know, Yoimiya, Fischl, Chevreuse, Bennett, that sounds awesome. That sounds so fun and sick. Or maybe you throw Toma in there for interruption resistance. I don't know. It's going to be sick. Subscribe for my Chevreuse guide. I'll release it day 1, and she's going to have really good constellations, so getting copies of her is so good. These are such good banners, guys. So especially if you're a Ryden enjoyer. If you're a Yoimiya joiner, it's 2 out of 3. If you're a Ryden enjoyer, it's still 2 because Kujasara is kind of power crept, but it's pretty much 3 out of 3 because we all know we don't care if Kujasara is not super meta. She's not the very, very best anymore. She's still super hot. She's still Ryden's right-hand woman, so we still gotta build her. And moving on to the weapon banner. Good, the ones of you guys who get good luck, I'm very happy for you because 3 out of the 5 of these 4 stars are amazing. If you're going for they actually put Rust on the banner with Thundering Pulse. So it's like, be careful though. Like, this is obviously bait because the thing is, it takes a lot of freaking wishes to guarantee the Thundering Pulse, and you only have a 1 out of 5 chance of getting the weapon you want out of the 5 stars. So like, here's the thing. Yeah, it's nice that the Rust is on the banner because, yeah, if you miss the Thundering Pulse, you get Engulfing Lightning, you put on your Shangling, now you have more Rust Refines. But what if you don't have more Rust Refines because you got only Eye of Perception, Rain Slasher, and Wavebreaker's Fin, right? That's kind of rough. But similar thing with Engulfing Lightning. Wavebreaker's Fin hasn't been on a banner in so long, but it's actually really good on Ryden, and it's actually got a big buff on Farina teams because you want a much higher base attack because it loses a lot of value on Bennett teams, but on Farina teams, it has a lot more value. You have to build a lot of ER, but it's actually much closer to Engulfing Lightning, and it's a much bigger gap between it and the catch if you're using Ryden Farina teams because you don't have Bennett to supplement the attack. So Wavebreaker's been an unironic, really big W for this banner. The catch is, see what I did there? The catch is you do need to have it at high refine. So if you have it at high refine, you're probably getting close to getting the Engulfing Lightning. So you can see how this is kind of bait, right? It's still a good weapon, right? Unlike Rust, which can pretty much only be used on Yoimiya, it's still a good weapon than the Wavebreaker's Fin because you can put it on Shangling, you can put it on other characters, but I find myself not really using it. I have R4. I may wish on this weapon banner a couple times just to get an R5, but you know how bad that is because it's so easy to just get Rain Slashers and Eye of Perception. dude, obviously these two weapons are terrible. And then Favonia's sword is the greatest weapon in the entire game. You want lots of copies. So if you love both Ryden and Yoimiya, this could be a great weapon banner. Thundering Pulse is about a 10% increase for Yoimiya, so whether it's worth it or not is really, it's kind of on the lower end for 5-star weapon increases. If you're using Yoimiya Farina teams, which might be her best teams now, I gotta do some more testing with Yoimiya Farina, but Yoimiya for the double Hydro Gene might be her best teams now, and Mariachi Sentunter might be her best artifact set, and then the Thundering Pulse might be a bigger increase because you're getting so much damage percent that from Farina that it makes the rest kind of not as good. That is the case, not exactly, that is the case with Engulfing Lightning, because not only when you're running Ryden with Farina, usually you're running Jean. Sometimes you can run Bennett, but if you're running Jean and not Bennett, then you lose you don't have the base attack. So the base of the attack from Engulfing Lightning is really, really good, and the damage percent from the catch is kind of wasted, or not wasted, but it's less valuable. So she gets a bigger boost than normal. But neither of these, so I would say that this weapon banner is like overall bait. Like, it's good, it looks really good at first. Like when you first look at it, like, holy crap, that's really good. But then you take a step back and you're like, going for Thundering Pulse, if you're going for Thundering Pulse, you miss it, you get lots of copies of Rest, you might not. And if you do get Thundering Pulse, now your Rest copies are useless. Same with Wavebreaker's Fin. Not as useless, but still. Where in Favonia's Sword, it's kind of like the only good universal weapon on the banner. Wavebreakers is okay. So you can see how it's kind of bait, right? In terms of weapon versatility, so if you're going for Ryden's weapon, but you happen to get Yoimiya's or vice versa, both of them are decent, but not like incredible. Thundering Pulse is really good on Child, and a solid stat stick on most bow characters, but unless that character uses normal attacks, then Rust loses a lot of value. Engulfing Lightning, on the other hand, is one of the better, just versatile weapons, because it is quite a sizable upgrade for Xiangling. I think that's all that it's like insane on. Pretty good on, it's okay on Zhao, pretty good on Shenhe. It's not like an insanely versatile weapon like Staff of Homa is, but it is really powerful on Ryden and Xiangling. So overall, there's a specific use case where, like, if you're a Ryden main who also plays a lot of Child, then this could be insane for you. But by and large, it's not like one of those really peak weapon banners. It's just, in terms of the versatility of the 5 stars, it's just solid. That being said, if you're gonna wish, just make sure you have 200 wishes saved up by the end of the banner to make sure that you can max out your fate points and actually get the weapon that you want. Do not put yourself in that position where you're gonna waste 202 fate points or have to spend. Pretty much always, except for the last wishes I did, I always get really bad luck on weapon banners like this, so be careful out there. But overall, I think these banners are amazing. If you want these 5 stars, make sure you go for them. Do keep in mind, we do have Shen Yun and Gaming coming out in the very next patch, so make sure that if you've been hyped for these characters, make sure you are being wise. Maybe check out some dreams about these characters to see if they pique your fancy. But if you've been waiting for these characters for a long time, make sure you get them. We don't know when they're going to be run. It might be a year or more. Again, let me know in the comments what you're going to do, and let me know whether or not you think I should activate Ryden C2 so I can let you know how worth it and good it really is. But I promise you, she is incredible at C0, especially with her Farina Jean teams. But even all her teams, I've been 36-starring the Abyss with C0 Ryden with free-to-play weapon for years now, and she's never let me down. It's never even been close. Granted, I do have a really well-invested Ryden, but let me know what you think. Take care. Bye for now.